we're back. Episode 111. Dalton and I were just looking. It said, last time you were on the podcast was episode 37, which doesn't seem like that long ago because we were at the shop in the office there. Felt like it was just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, it feels recent, but time has flown.
Yeah, you've done a lot of traveling since then.
I've done a little bit.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But anyway, we're today got Dalton back on here. Producer Dalton, as his headline says. He's the one who's in charge of all of our social media stuff. And since we've been talking about marketing in the last month, I felt like let's just keep this train rolling on the same track. So talk a lot about content today and what it's done for us, things like that. And it's been a minute. So just chat about what worked in 2024 and what to focus on for 2025. So really excited about this episode. It's been a minute. So Dalton, thanks for hanging back out with us today.
Yeah. The last year has been a wild ride on YouTube for Turf Badger.
For sure. I think what's been our wild ride for you the past couple of years in general?
Yeah. Well, I started like 2 years ago. I started my business. You really helped me start my business, Jonas.
You were working at FedEx when we met.
I was working at FedEx.
That didn't last long, did it?
No, that was the worst. In the snow? Are you kidding me? Yeah. Started the content business September 27th, 2022, just a few days after my daughter was born. So I get the dates confused all the time. So I look like a dick in front of my wife, like forgetting all the time. But since I did that, I got some clients, started traveling the country. I thought, I wonder if we could like shoot a 6 months worth of content in like a few days. So I tried that out and it worked. We were able to do it. So I've been to Nebraska, Oklahoma, Michigan, Virginia. I've been all
over.
Wisconsin. Yeah. I've been to like 13 different states in a year, which is I don't really travel that much. So that was pretty crazy.
That's pretty cool. And then just for context, why don't you just tell everyone where you're at now? Because you got in here saying you had to turn the air conditioning off. It's too hot. I'm like, we don't have that problem here.
No, right now I'm in Argentina.
Okay, how did you end up in Argentina? Sofia?
Yeah, Sofia. I thought it'd be fun. So I have Sofia and another one of my editors, who also a podcast producer. We produce multiple podcasts now. And they both live here in Buenos Aires. So I thought it'd be fun to come visit them. My lease was up on where I was staying. So I thought like, well, it's probably cheaper to stay in Argentina. It's only slightly cheaper. It's not that cheap here, but I mean, I get to go on a long vacation and kind of break even. And I get to meet Sofia and Shael. It'll make it a lot harder for them to quit now because now they've met me and my kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I have more time with Sofia than what you do.
Probably. But yeah, it's really cool here. It's hot right now. It's probably not as hot as Phoenix, but yeah, it's really, really cool here. You know, I've never traveled like this before. So you see how a whole other country lives. And, yeah, it's really a unique opportunity. I'm making a lot of videos about Argentina on my own TikTok and Instagram. Met some cool people. It's crazy how blessed I am that I get to work online and I can travel. And I mean, I work with a lot of lawn and landscape guys, so I'm not really shooting any video until March at the earliest. So might as well travel.
Well, that's kind of nice too. Like you fly out to these places, you get 6 months worth of content. They get content while you're gone. And you can just use that footage for the rest of the year, which is nice.
It helps to have, unique winter stuff because there is, hey, lawn winterizer or ryegrass or, hey, your Bermuda grass goes dormant. Like those videos are really nice to have, but nothing's as good as lawn content in spring and summer.
I have a good compliment for you. One of my buddies reached out not yesterday. I'd say like last week or the week before. He might listen to this. And he said, hey, what's that AI voice you use on all your videos? And I said, that's not AI. He said, yeah, this video right here. I'm like, yeah, no, that's not AI. He's like, holy shit, that guy's really good.
Oh, wow. That's me?
Yeah, it's you.
I sound like a machine.
You are a machine, Dalton.
The voiceovers, they're all me. I do them.
Yeah. You do a really good job at that.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Why don't you just like quickly, I know we chat about it, for 2024, kind of just go over some of the rough numbers that we saw success with for Turf Badger over the past year. obviously it was a big year for us. We just started this in 2022, like you said. So 2 years in and had a lot of stuff going on. So if you want to go through those, we can do that now if you want.
Yeah, absolutely. So TikTok, let me go ahead and look at the numbers here on TikTok. So total since 2022, we've had 3 million likes. We're at 62,500 followers, which is really, really great. We get, I'm not logged in on this computer, so I can't see the super fine details, but I will say probably once a month ish, we have a video hit 1 million, another video hit 1 million just on TikTok, and lots of others hit, 10,000, 20,000. I'm looking at one right here, 185,000. So the views are definitely really healthy. I know a channel's doing well. A TikTok is doing well when on the low end, a video is getting 4,000 or 5,000. That's really, because just not everything's going to go viral. That's just the reality. But if you're minimum getting several thousand, that's fantastic.
Yeah, especially this time of year, if you want to hit on that, like the fall time, winter time, it's off season in general, but kind of hit on that part too. Big
time. So this is mostly with TikTok, but I've kind of noticed it with other platforms too. Starting Thanksgiving time, there's a huge drop in views. This is just because the platform's filled with advertising. It's just sort of less pleasant to use. Everything, if you're scrolling on TikTok, I mean, if you're watching or listening to this podcast, you're probably not on TikTok all day because you own some sort of business. But if you do scroll, you're going to see sponsored posts. Even if it's not sponsored, it's still someone selling something. And there's money behind those things. So there's less views. So you have to deal with that. Plus, if you're doing lawn, landscape, anything, people aren't interested. They're not searching these things. They're not really sharing stuff to each other. So views are going to go down. And then we see views start to come up late January, depending on the industry. And then for lawn and landscape stuff, definitely in spring, they'll start taking off again.
Yeah, even if you go into analytics over the last couple of years, you can see like the peaks and valleys in the same time every single year.
Yep. Yeah. And for each service, like I know that if it's May, I need to post mosquito stuff. It's and you can post mosquito stuff all year round. It's going to get some views, but if you really want it to take off, mosquito is May.
Yeah. And so everyone that's listening, like we don't just get lucky and have these things go viral. There's a lot of work that's put into them and just a lot of time on ours, like scheduling, like, hey, this is what we're doing this month. This is what's going to be big. And you post those videos like, holy crap, they did really good. You post another mosquito video, which is very similar a month later, and it just doesn't take off as well. So you got to know the data and analytics behind it too. You can't just post and just hope and pray. Yeah. I mean, sometimes we do that because I run out of stuff to post, but usually it does pretty well. If I'm really out of stuff to post, which happens. I mean, we all get busy. We'll go back and we'll re-edit videos that did well before, so we can look at like, oh, there's a dip in views at 4 seconds. Let's tighten that up. Let's do it a different way, and then we can do really well. So sometimes we'll have a video that gets like 18,000 views, which is great, but we can re-edit it, and then it'll get 300,000 or 1 million views, and it's definitely worth doing to recycle old content. Yeah, and I think we were told to do that same video like 6 to 8 to 10 times, something like that, just to keep pressing it. Because like they said, once like the edging video, like, yes, we all know why it went viral, right? But it's like he said, our YouTube coach said, well, YouTube basically gave you like permission, the green light, as like the edging guru or whatever. Yeah, you're the edging guru. Yeah, I've been telling people that. Thanks, I appreciate it. But yeah, so then every time you make an edging video, it just goes crazy. So everyone's seen that same video, almost the same video, same everything. We've posted probably 6, 8, 10 times, whatever it may be, and it's done well every single time. Yeah, I mean, when it gets, what is it at on the original on TikTok right now is at 5.7 million views. So it's like, even if I post it and it gets half that, that's still so many views. Yeah, it's incredible. So if you haven't heard about Gorilla Desk yet, it's a super sick software. It's actually made by one of my really close friends, Chris Mareshi. So Chris built Gorilla Desk to help streamline his own personal business over 10 years ago. But now Gorilla Desk is used by over 4,000 companies. And today it's become one of the most premier platforms in our industry. So what's really unique about Gorilla Desk is that it's a simple all-in-one solution that's really easy for your team to use. Gorilla Desk offers a seamless onboard experience and best-in-class support with no additional cost. It's all included in your subscription. Inside the software, you'll find a whole suite of features. Scheduling, invoicing, routing, and sales pipelines, integrated VoIP, text messaging, and pretty much all the automation you're going to need, and much, much more. So if you guys are still relying on paper or spreadsheets or fighting with an old software, I highly recommend that you guys check out Gorilla Desk. So we have a link in our description. Click on that, and it'll take you right to their free trial. Now let's get back to the show. Do you remember when we just started, and I was like, oh man, if we could just get 10,000 views, and I was like, then all of a sudden we got 10,000, and I was like, oh man, it'd be awesome if we get 100,000 views. And then you came over and we did that aerating video. I didn't think it was ever going to go anywhere. Like, it was just a stupid aerating video. It was like, hey, but I kind of get it now if I think through it. Like I didn't know what I was saying, but I got lucky and said the right things. Like, hey, I just bought this new aerator. I've never used it before. Come check this thing out. And then it shows us like starting it up and driving towards the back of the house. So like when I replay it in my head, I'm like, I get it. There was a good hook in there, I got lucky, right? I didn't know what I was doing, but that's what I did. And that's the first one that crossed over 100,000. And I remember looking at my phone, and I think I was texting you. In fact, I know I was. It like as soon as it hit, it went crazy right away.
Yeah. That was when I kind of figured like, oh, it kind of clicked like, oh, I might know how to do these. And then it was probably less than a month later, we had 1 million on the bed bugs. I don't know what it was, probably bed bugs, I think.
Probably. And it's not like we know the algorithm, right? Because we don't. No one does. But we're getting pretty good at it. Oh
yeah. Yeah. There's definitely ways to there's ways to really mess it up. And if you avoid those, then you have a chance at hitting the algorithm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So there's the kind of our stats on TikTok. I feel like the first year on TikTok, it like blew up. So we went to 0 to 50,000 followers, like almost immediately. And then since then, like over the past year, we've gotten like 12 to 13, 15,000, like that. So that's definitely slowed down too. But I think we got it in at the right time too. Yes, I think a lot of it was timing. I mean, we did really good videos, but those it was like million, like one right after another. But also we kind of changed strategy too, though, right? Like we don't necessarily care about TikTok. We do because it's a platform you have to be on. But our core focus, which everyone knows, is just YouTube. It's the strategy, right? Let's focus on YouTube. We're going to grow our YouTube. That's what pays us. That's, like where most of our content's going to be is we're going to use about subscribers. Obviously it's owned by Google, so it helps the algorithm on our Google side of the page thing for Turf Badger, everything like that, the organic reach. So, TikTok is not an afterthought, but a kind of afterthought at this point, where at first it's kind of like the initial strategy. Yeah, we'll just kind of jump over to Instagram page. I'm just going to pull it up. And I know like for a minute there, I was just talking about before the podcast was that I had noticed that the link got broken on there. And then I was like, oh, shoot. So there's a few, maybe a couple months in the summer where it wasn't doing it, or wasn't getting videos. But at the time, we had like 4,000 followers. I believe like 4,000 or 4,500. And then we linked it back up, which was 2 months ago, right? Yeah, it wasn't that long ago. Yeah, something like that. Because like I remember sending you a text message saying in the first week we had gained like 10,000 followers on Instagram. And now we've gained another 5.2 thousand. So we're up to 15.2 thousand followers. In the past month, we've had 3 videos hit 1 million. Which has never happened on Instagram before. Yeah. Which is wild. It's really huge. Instagram, I mean, I know YouTube is definitely still on number 1, but Instagram is so widely used. That's like a close second, I think, to YouTube as far as just branding, getting famous, getting the word out. I mean, TikTok's awesome, but you might not necessarily have qualified people watching your TikTok. I think you're much more likely to have qualified people watching your Instagram, homeowners or a housewife, or, I mean, I'm on Instagram, a husband who's going to send pest control stuff to to their spouse. So to go viral on Instagram is very exciting, to say the least.
Yeah, so that one has 406,000, 406,000. And this one has 2.5 million, which in the past 30 days has 26,000 likes, 166 comments, and 1,457 shares.
Well, I know it's going well, and I know we're going viral because I give my editors $100 bonuses when we hit 1 million, and I'm like out of money. Like we just keep doing it.
That's awesome. And so that's been really working really, really well, but it wasn't always that way. And then we're like, well, all the traffic stopped on TikTok, all the traffic stopped on YouTube this time of year, but all of a sudden it's taken off on Instagram. Just strange.
It is strange. And I try and stay on top of the algorithms, but they change it all the time. So my strategy has just been to make really good videos. They'll pop off on one of the platforms. And right now it's Instagram.
Yeah. And then, I was actually super surprised, and it's been going crazy. And I kind of agree with you too. And I think like it's a different type of person, I think, on Instagram than it is TikTok too. Like, I feel like this is just how I feel, and I could be totally wrong. I feel like a lot of more business owners are on Instagram.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. TikTok it's a lot of kids and a lot of old people. Oddly, you'd be surprised. But in terms of that, like middle, homeowners and business owners, it really seems to be Instagram. I've noticed.
In the past 30 days, we have 4.9 million views, which is pretty impressive. 77,800 interactions, and it said 15.2 thousand followers are total. Now I'm going to click into the demographic. The average age, so 18 to 24 is 2.8%. 25 to 34 is 10%. 35 to 44 is 19%. 45 to 54 is 24%. And our largest audience is 55 to 64 at 25%.
Wow, that's surprising.
So between 35 and 64 is our main followers. And then at 65 plus, it's 16.9%.
That's high too.
As far as gender, what would you guys guess?
It's got to be men, right?
It's actually 56.3% women.
Really?
And 43.6% men.
Interesting. I wonder if the women are sending the bug stuff to their husbands. Say, hey, get rid of my ants.
That's where all the shares are.
Yeah.
And then the busiest times of the day are from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m.
So all day.
Well, from 12 a.m. to 6 a.m., there's a big dip. 9 a.m. it goes up. And then between like, it goes up at 12, it goes up at 3, and the peak time is 6 o'clock.
Okay, so this is people on their lunch break.
And then after work, at 6 o'clock, at 6 o'clock is the busiest time of the day. So, and then it dips off at 9. Pretty interesting. You look back at the data. I'm sitting on this data all the time,
Yeah, well, maybe we ought to cater this more for old people. Maybe we should make some MASH references.
The problem is, though, when you're running ads, I feel, is like 65 and up, they have a hard time using the app. So they just click on shit and they don't ever want anything. Again, this is what I see on my end, but I don't target those people, but it's pretty crazy to see how much of an audience that have an Instagram on 65 plus. I just cannot see my mom sitting on Instagram.
Yeah, my dad does that. My dad was on TikTok before me. He was sending me stuff. I'd have to download the app to look at it.
That's because you had a Android.
Yeah, that's because I had an Android. Yeah, well, I have the YouTube data.
There you go.
We can take a look here. The last 365 days, we've gotten 115,000 subscribers. Our watch time is 117.7 thousand hours. And our views are, I don't know why that's a helpful measurement. And the views are 19.6 million.
Yeah. And then what's cool is we just started dabbling in long form content. And that's how you make money, right? Is off long form content because they have more ads, more watch time, things like that. And as we're talking about the podcast, we'll get into that next. But we almost have just as many minutes on YouTube on the Pest Control Millionaire side with zero following, like 1,000 people compared to 100,000 people. So the watch time is almost the same. So again, you just get paid more off watch time than you do anything. But the reels and shorts are what gets people to your content to begin with.
Those are, you get your funnel. The reels are the top of the funnel.
For sure. Switch gears a little bit because we kind of just went over last year. For 2025, what do you see coming down the pipeline? What do you think people should be focusing on? And if people, and then we'll stop there and have another question to follow up with.
So like for businesses doing content, I think things are getting very, very saturated because people like me are making content for businesses. So it's going to get tougher and tougher to really, really stand out. But I think that means you really should think about posting something to show that you have a pulse online. Like even if you're not posting stuff to go viral, which for me is always the goal, is to get 1 million views, get tons of people to see your stuff. Even if that isn't your goal, you should be posting something about your business once a week, a reel preferably, because reels are what's going to get you that reach. A reel, short form, some kind of video once a week, just to show that you have a pulse online. It's impossible to measure lead generation from organic content. It's not like a meta ad where you click and you can see everything about them. So you kind of got to put that metric out of your mind. But when someone does hear about you and they look you up, you need to look professional. You need to look like an expert in your field. You don't want to look like a jackass online. You want to look like you're trying and that you're a company that's worth hiring. So, you don't need to necessarily hire someone like me who's going to make you 15, 20, really professional, polished content. You should just make something that looks good once a week, post it so you look real.
Yeah. What platforms would you say to start with? Yeah. Or is there an easy way to do all?
There is an easy way to do all. If you're only going to do one, just post to Instagram. But you can use a tool called repurpose.io. And it's not perfect by any means, but you can post to one platform and you can connect all of them. So you can post YouTube Shorts, it puts it on Instagram, your TikTok, probably your Facebook. I think it probably does LinkedIn too. So it's all done for one really easily. You don't have to. We have a whole system that we use. We don't use repurpose.io, but if you're just doing it yourself, super simple. It's probably like $10 a month or something. It's absolutely worth doing.
And then the only one not to do that with technically is you don't want to do YouTube. You want it to be organic upload, right?
I mean, it's better than nothing to have it done by repurpose.io. But ideally, you want to be posting completely manually from your phone to YouTube and TikTok, which is super annoying, but it probably gets you 10% more views or more in the case of YouTube. We have to do all those manually.
For sure. And if you were just starting out too, how often would you post? And then do you like to have a cadence of a post?
Yeah, it's nice to space them out, but not too long. So the thinking is, like, imagine you get 1 million views. You don't want to wait a week to post the next video. You want to do it really soon. So people get that 1 million and then they go on your account and they look at your other videos. You want to do it pretty soon. So you don't necessarily need to post every single day. That's, you'll get diminishing returns at some point.
It's not always the amount of content, but the quality of the content.
It's kind of a complicated question. You should be posting as much as makes sense for your business. So realistically, for the people listening to this, you're a business owner. Your time, for the most part, is best spent running your business. You'll probably make more money that way. But if you have time or you like making content or there's someone on your team who's good at it or wants to do it, it's a very helpful spoke in the wheel, so to speak.
Yeah, because how many times have we both heard it? Like you talk to some business owners and they agree that they need to do it, but they don't want to be the one on camera. That's why they don't do it. What do you say to those people?
Yeah, they don't have to be on camera.
Go get the content, do some voiceovers, have some of their team, technicians.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. The problem with that is, you really have to teach them that done is better than perfect. Sometimes you'll get a little cinematographer on your team and they'll spend too much time on a reel.
Yeah, no, I agree. We both know someone who did that. They had a full-time editor, and he wasn't really editing anything because he's just trying to make everything perfect all the time, which is great to an extent. But if you're not getting anything out there, then what's the point?
It's definitely like a shotgun approach. I mean, you don't want to make stuff that's bad, obviously, and just release bad stuff, but it's not random, but it's close to random what goes viral. You can never really expect it. So if you spend 5 hours making one video, there's a chance that's 5 hours down the drain. If you spend 45 minutes making a video, that's not so bad.
I agree. And you and I had this conversation since day one. I even told you, like, I know this is not going to be a short-term thing. I'm playing the long game. But a lot of business owners like to see immediate results. So if they don't see the results in first 30, 60, 90 days, like, oh, this isn't working. Let's just shut it off. Have you ran into that at all?
Well, I get pretty good results pretty soon. But I have seen that every now and then where it's, I haven't got any leads yet or haven't got anyone talking about this. And it's like, well, it takes a little bit to get a following. First of all, TikTok kind of kneecaps you until you have about 40 videos. So I'll get a video that has really, really awesome metrics. It has like, it has like 80% viewer retention at 3 or 4 seconds. Like, it's doing incredible. And it gets like 100,000 views. That should be something that would get like 2 million or something, that kind of metric. So it's a long game for that, first of all. But it does just take a long time for the algorithm to learn what you're doing. And it takes a long time for you to grow any sort of following, for someone to see your face and then they're scrolling and they see your face again. Well, now they might watch a little bit more. It just takes time. But that being said, it shouldn't take years. It should take 6 or so months to really nail down what you're doing.
Yeah. And so the people that are, let's say they're going to go do it themselves, a couple of questions around this. What do you think their schedule should be like? How should they time block? And maybe what are the first 5, 6 videos that you would recommend them to do?
You should probably take 2 days maybe and shoot some stuff. Go out with a team member in a truck, follow them around, explain things that they do. Your mindset should be, this, if you've been doing lawn care a while, this stuff is boring to you. But think about someone seeing this for the first time. Like, oh, what is this product? What is pre-emergent? What is this weed? Oh, a broadleaf weed versus a grassy weed. What's the difference? These really, really obvious things, and make a list of them and shoot them. And they're all going to do really bad. You're going to post them. You're going to make them probably hire an editor or have someone on your team who knows how to edit, and they're going to do really, really bad. Just accept that the first ones you make are going to do terrible. But then think about, one of them's going to do a little bit better than the other ones. One of them's going to get a couple more comments than the other ones, and think about why that one did good, and then readjust. And be brutal. Be really brutal with yourself.
In you yourself, if you are doing them, your first videos are going to be terrible yourself too. Remember when you and I first started out, like, I'd have to stop like all the time. And it was funny to a point. Because you try to remember all this stuff, and you're trying to remember the script in your head, and you're trying to like, just whatever, And then I was just down in Florida doing videos like 3 weeks ago. And the dude's like, he's done a bunch of video before. He's like, holy shit, Jonas. I was like, what? He's like, I have never done video like this before. He's like, you just like plow right through this stuff. I'm like, well, yeah, I do it every day, all day long at this point, It's my life's consumed. And he's like, I've never done video with someone like you. Like, I'll just mess up and just steamroll through it, I'm like, don't edit anything, just let it roll. That's where I, like, early on, I was doing it myself even before you. I would mess up and I'd just restart, mess up, restart, and press reset. Like, there's 45 3-second videos because I messed up so many times. It takes way too much time. Just turn the camera on. If you make a mistake, who cares? You can edit it, or you can put the videos together, make a good one, whatever. Just keep rolling.
And the other thing you did early on was you'd be Mr. Professional. Hi, I'm Jonas Olson.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
That's what everyone does, because that's what you think you need to do. But I don't know, it's 2025 now, and no one cares. They just want their content.
Yeah, they need that dopamine hit. Like, let's see what the next video is going to be.
And that's the other thing when you make videos. If you're making these for yourself, just really remember that you're not the main character of your own video. It's the people watching. They don't care about you at all. They care about themselves, and they want whatever information that you're giving them quickly, and they want it to be kind of entertaining. So, you just don't think about yourself. Don't think about how you look. Just think about giving as much value as you possibly can to the person watching, whether that's, how to cut their grass properly, like really explain it to them, hold their hand through it, and don't assume they know anything.
Or because they usually don't.
They usually don't. They're literally sitting on the toilet watching TikTok, and they just want to, you say, oh, I can cut my grass wrong with lawn lines. I can do lawn lines too many times in one direction. I had no idea.
Yeah, like I said, you said it early on too in the podcast too. Like you want to be the market, the person that they go to for the market in your marketplace. Like you want to be the local celebrity. You want everyone to know who you are. Yeah,
whatever niche you're in, you're the guy.
Yeah, because they're going to watch a bunch of your videos. They're going to consume a bunch of your content. They're going to check out your website. They're going to spend time on your website. They're going to check out your Google, and then all of a sudden they're going to press it. Like they might not need anything today, but you keep answering all their questions or they're watching your videos, and then when they finally do need something, guess who they're going to call?
Oh yeah, for sure. Especially people will say that this content is just kids watching it. Although now we know from Instagram that's definitely not the case. But even on TikTok, where it is a lot of kids, kids grow up kind of fast, and then they're going to need lawn care, and they're going to say, oh, that guy I've been watching for 3 years, I'll call him.
Yeah, like you've known this before, but like we literally have kids chasing us down the street saying, hey, you're the TikTok guys.
Yeah.
That's where you guys need to get to, is like just to be your local celebrity. Like be everywhere at all times.
Be everywhere at all times. Get recognized. That's what I tell people. That's the return on investment, is when you get recognized for the first time, or your technicians get recognized for the first time. That's it. That's huge.
Yeah. Even when you and I were talking, I went up to Pest Road for the first time, and I texted you while I was out there. Like, yeah, these 3 dudes just walked up to me and they said that, hey, you're the TikTok guy. And I was like, huh? Like, yeah, you're the TikTok guy. I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. They're like, yeah, you do all the videos on TikTok, right? I'm like, yeah, you're the TikTok guy. I'm like, oh. That was the first time that it happened. Now I just know that's who I am at this point, Again, a lot of it was just good timing. Like I feel like we were just the first ones there for pest control, doing this kind of thing.
We're definitely the first ones there in any consistent base. I mean, there were pest control videos that go viral before, but there wasn't like a pest control TikTok guy.
Yeah. And I think we're the last I heard, could have changed by then, but this was 4 months ago, 3 months ago. We're the 4th largest pest control YouTube channel in the entire world.
That's pretty good.
Pretty good. We're not number one.
We'll be number one. It'll take some time. Once we get our long form game down,
yeah, and that's the goal for 2025. I write down my goals every single year, and that's just one of them. I need to create 1 to 2 videos a month. Just keep on pace, if not more. But I already have one planned. It's going to be fun. It's going to be an exciting one.
Yeah, it's super doable.
For sure. And then kind of switch gears too, because I watched one of your reels the other day. And it was,
you did?
Yeah, I did. And it was your podcast one, how to create a podcast in 2025 or whatever it was. I want to chat about that real quick. There's a lot of people that wanted to do a podcast, a lot about doing a podcast, should do a podcast,
Yeah.
I feel like everyone
they should call me.
Everyone could and should. They should call you. Again, not super hard. It took a little bit of time to get it figured out. At this point, we know what we're doing for the most part. All the equipment to buy, things like that, but pretty easy overall.
Yeah, it's not rocket science, but I think people try and make it rocket science. I'm not exactly sure why they do that. What's the word for that? They kind of over prepare. Analysis paralysis.
Analysis paralysis. Yeah, like everything just has to be perfect.
Yeah, and it really doesn't.
I think I read something. It's the number one way to poverty is to make, or the number one goal of poverty is to make everything perfect. Is I think what the saying is.
Yeah, I mean you'll never do anything, or you'll spend way too much money. Like every now and then I'll meet someone who's planning a podcast and they're spending thousands and thousands of dollars on equipment. And it's like why? Joe Rogan's microphone costs $350. I have the exact same one he does. It's not this one. This is an $80 microphone and it's fine. You have the same one, the ATR 2100X. that's not tough. People are spending $1,000 on a microphone because it needs to be perfect. Maybe an audio engineer will be able to tell the difference, but no one else will. It'll sound the exact same to everyone else. Plus, the file is going to be compressed anyway, so like no one's going to hear the difference. It's silly. You want me to tell you how to have a podcast?
I mean, they could just watch your video. You give all the same information on there, so it doesn't really make a difference.
But yeah, go follow me on Instagram, Dalton S. Fisher.
Yeah, and then just like a Rodecaster, some Rodecaster Pro, like it sounds great. But you could definitely notice the difference from when we didn't have that. We were doing it through Zoom, and then switching over to Riverside. Huge difference.
Yeah, Riverside has made an enormous difference. But I mean, you don't even necessarily need to have a Rodecaster. We have the Rodecaster because it's helpful if we have an in-person guest. But if you don't do that, you don't even need that.
We were looking at the numbers before we jumped on here for the podcast. We were at 29,000 downloads. Super happy with that. Like, holy shit. Like I didn't know a number. I just knew that there was like a couple of thousand a month. I was like, that's pretty cool. Now to have 29,000 total. And that's not even counting YouTube. That's pretty cool.
That's not even counting YouTube.
Yeah. So there's over 30,000 downloads, which is pretty awesome. We're on episode 111. So we're doing damn good.
Yeah. The thing about podcasts is no matter what, it takes a long time to build. And I think probably 6 months or so ago, we started to really hit becoming a successful podcast. We've started to really hit that because we've been releasing on the same day pretty much every week. So
we took Christmas off, but other than that, we might have missed one other week in the past 2 years or year and a half, whatever it's been.
Yeah, you want to become part of people's routine.
Yeah, it's like that show back in the early 90s. Like every Friday night we had to be home for this show at this certain time. Just they don't, what's going to be there. You know when it's going to drop. 8:00 on Friday night. I had to go watch Full House or whatever it is back in the Family Matters or whatever.
Yeah. So now Tuesday mornings, people wake up right before they go. They can see the podcast. It should be at the top of the list of new episodes that they follow, so they can just download it really easily. We've become part of the routine.
For sure. And again, this just all started because like, hey, we need to start a podcast. And then now we have to be up there on the largest pest control podcast, lawn care podcasts in the country too, I'd imagine. There's some big lawn care ones for sure. But pest control, there's only a few,
See, and you want to be the guy. I mean, you're not doing Joe Rogan numbers, but for pest control, you're the guy, which is all you need to be. Even if you want to get like sponsorships, well, we had Gorilla Desk.
Yeah, they're awesome. Chris is awesome.
They know that we're not getting millions of downloads, but they know that every download we have is going to be a pest or lawn control guy, mostly pest control. So it's perfect. It's a really good bang for the buck.
Yeah, but again, it's not too difficult. It takes a lot of time. I was listening to Joe Rogan's podcast the other night. He says that his podcasts are 3 to 4 hours. Ours are usually, I say 30 minutes to an hour. I try to cut out, but it never happens. I get talking, people get talking. Next thing you know, I'm like, crap, it's already over an hour. I told him it'll only be an hour. Then there's some like Jonathan who goes 3-4 hours long, splitting it into 2 episodes. But yeah, so what I was going with that is like he does 3 to 4 hours per podcast, and he does 3 to 4 a week.
That's crazy.
A lot of time.
It is a lot. I mean, we don't do that. You don't necessarily have to do that.
No, I know there's another one of my friends. He's been on the podcast before, Paul Jameson. He's got a big podcast too. Shout out to Paul. He does one every day, and that's a lot.
Your listeners only have so much time in a day. I don't know.
But some of his too is just he'll just jump on there and talk himself for 30 minutes or 20 minutes or 10 minutes, whatever it is, to get something out there. But it's pretty cool. He does it. It's a lot of work. Hats off to him for doing that.
It is. I think the hardest part with podcasting is the consistency. Is committing to do it for 3 years.
Yeah, and then just finding the people that are out there, like to get them on the podcast. That takes a lot of my time because it doesn't. I think when you and I first started this, I made that list and we had like 200 people on the first list. And I'm like, oh,
well, everyone.
Yep. Yeah.
But the podcast helps with that. That's a hidden benefit. I mean, everyone who wants to do a podcast, they start out, they'll get listeners and then they'll get sponsors. And it's like, maybe you'll get sponsors, but you'll meet people. You'll have these networking opportunities that you wouldn't have had otherwise. And that's huge value.
It is. And the value that I get out of the whole thing is I get to meet people like yourself, per se, and I get to learn. Like, that's the whole reason that I did this. I want to learn what other people are doing, what's working in the industry, what's not working, and then build a community. And everyone just gets to learn along with me, which is pretty cool.
Yes. Yeah. The community aspect, you can't put a dollar value on it for return on investment, but it's extremely good to have. That's how I've met a bunch of my clients, is like, hey, remember when you were on the podcast? Yeah, that's my podcast. Hi, I'm Dalton.
Yeah, for sure. It's an easy segue in, right?
It is. And I can mention, oh, you know Jonas Olson? They go, oh, I actually do know that guy. Yeah, I do his stuff. I produce his podcast.
That makes it a little easier for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's been fun to watch you too. Like I can't remember who I was talking to a couple weeks ago. We were just chatting about you, and it's been a cool journey to watch you too. Like I said, we're at the beginning of the podcast. You were working at FedEx. You walked talking about to my friend Scotty Mosier. You're talking about taking pictures for his homes that he was trying to sell, real estate agent. And I was just like, hey, what do you do? You're like, oh, I take pictures and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, you ever do any video? Like, well, yeah, that's actually what I do. I'm like, oh, cool. And we got to chit chatting. Week later, you were coming down to Green Bay with us. And then like your route got canceled that next day. And you're like, hey, can I come back down? I was like, yeah, absolutely. Then the next week, you're like, hey, can I just come to work for you full time? Like, yeah, let's go. And now looking back, like that's where the journey started. Now you got employees and you got customers all over the country. You're flying all around. Been pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, thank you. It's been probably cool to watch, but it's been cooler to live.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, again, I just feel like it's not all me. You did all the work, but it's just like I helped a person be successful, which is super cool. That's all that this is for. That's my favorite part of what I do now, is watching others win.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. But I mean, also what was huge is just this podcast. I mean, I was just listening, because before we had Sofia here doing fantastic work. It was me just listening every single week to self-made millionaires. I was like, oh, that's how you do it. Oh, it is possible, you know?
Yeah, for sure. That's what I was telling you. I think I've spent more time with Sofia than you have.
Yeah, probably.
We're together every single week for an hour or 2-3 hours. She's my Jamie, which has been pretty fun the last couple weeks. Like, hey, we need something. She just looked up on Google. I'm like, yeah, like this is awesome. You never used this before. Yeah.
Oh, she's great. She runs a bunch of accounts for me too. She plans them and she reviews the videos from the editors. She does great work.
Yeah, she does. I agree. She's been with us since almost day one too. It's what episode did you come in, Sofia? 55?
Yeah, that's half the time.
It is half the time.
Wow.
So yeah, I figure we do one a year. You've been here a year and a week. You break it down like that.
Basically, that's a lot.
But yeah, it's been a fun ride for sure.
It's been crazy. And I've made a crazy amount of mistakes, but I've also been able to learn that.
Learned, right?
Yeah, it's always very good. I was pretty nervous when I first started doing this, but after a while, I kind of figured out that each time I mess something up, I learn like a lot. So there's basically no reason to not try anything. You know, just give it a shot. If it messes up, you know, maybe I'll be set back, but I'll learn what not to do. And you know, it's like you said, it's long term. It's all thinking long term. I'm lucky. I'm 27 now, so you know, maybe I'm thinking of what the business is going to be in 10 years or what my life is going to be in 10 years. So each lesson I learn now is very, very useful. I'll get lots of use out of it.
Yeah. If you're starting a lawn care pest control company today and you could only use shorts and long form video for marketing, nothing else, what would you do?
I would chronicle my business journey. I'd post probably every other day because I'm still starting a business, so I'll be busy. So I post probably every other day, maybe every third day, about just what happened the last few days of building my business. I mean, you've probably seen those videos. This is day 35 of building my lawn care business.
Yeah, we talked about, you and I talked about this. We had plans to do it and it just never happened. But the goal was to do it last year. The goal was to do it this year. So like start a new market. Let's just let's shoot content the whole time we're there. Day 1 through 30 or 100, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, It's a lot of work. It's kind of annoying. You're trying to work on other stuff and you have this little thing, I got to make content, in the back of your mind. That's why it's helpful to have someone who can edit the stuff. You just shoot it and then put it in an account and it's done. But I think that'd be very, very useful. Because you might not get a crazy amount of leads from that right away, but because you're posting yourself and putting yourself out there, you might meet someone who can.
For sure. Did I show you? I showed you the new drone that I got, right? The mini one. I think it's pretty cool. I didn't get to use it a whole lot just because it got cold. But I'm excited for that thing too, to see what that does. So far, I like it. They just turn it on.
Yeah, I might buy one too.
Yeah, they're cheap, like $200 cheap. We should put the link in the bio so people can go buy it.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. They might ban DJI. We'll see. So get them now. Get them while they're hot.
Yeah, well, it's because all the drone BS going on now,
Yeah. But DJI, they make the best drones for sure.
Why? I haven't heard that. So why would DJI get banned, or is it just drones in general, or just DJI?
Because they're a Chinese company and they're supposedly spying on everybody. It could be that they also make the best drones at the best price.
They're awesome. I love all mine. I really do.
Yeah. I have a DJI microphone. They're incredibly good. I mean, people think Chinese company, they think they're terrible, but DJI is very, very good.
Yeah. Well, that's the same thing. They were trying to ban TikTok for how long. They're still talking about it,
Yeah. I wonder if it's because they're getting the most views and the most advertising dollars, and it's not American companies. I wonder if that has anything to do with it.
I mean, I would imagine so. Yeah. So you would just turn on your camera and you would just vlog your day in the life.
Yeah. And I wouldn't be too particular about it. I wouldn't try too hard.
How long are videos?
I try and after editing, about 35 seconds ish. A good rule. I mean, there's not really any ideal time. It's just however long the video is without getting boring is the rule. And that tends to be about 35 seconds. But you can record as long as you want, and then you get a good editor and they'll cut out all the fat for you.
Right on. From there, what would you do? Anything different? That'd be the first place you started. And obviously put it on all platforms. Hit the $10.
Yeah, you put it on all platforms. If I'm allowed to branch off of organic content, probably, honestly, this might be counterproductive to my own business, but honestly, the next thing I'd probably do is just door hangers, and then you can look into doing Facebook or something. But I mean, door hangers are so cheap.
Yeah, and I'm just going to go knock doors because door hangers are... I'd rather just sell them at the door. If they're not home, maybe I hang a door hanger, but I'd just rather sell them while they're home.
Well, you're Jonas Olson, so you can do that.
You're Dalton Fisher. You can do it too.
I guess I could go ahead and sell some pest control. If this whole content thing ever falls through for me, I'll probably start a lawn or pest business. I know I've been working with them for years. Yeah.
How's the grass in Argentina?
Oh, it's horrendous. Yeah, I had to, like, all my editors, I had to teach them like what grass is, because they have Bermuda grass here, but it's mixed in with a ton of different weeds. They don't do a lot of lawn care here.
Right, it's like an American Canadian thing is lawn care.
Yeah, I don't think anyone cares at all here. I mean, there's a little patches of grass.
I see that on YouTube or comments all the time. Like, you Americans, that's all you guys do. Like, that's such an American thing to do. I hear that all the time.
Yeah, I don't know. People just don't like lawns. Maybe people don't know that. Well, first of all, I love the negative comments because they're comments, and it gets people. It gets us a lot of engagement.
Especially when you piss off a bunch of lawn care owners about edging.
Yeah. Man, I love that video.
I had to make friends with that video. Pissed off a bunch of lawn care guys.
Well, I've made versions of that video with some other companies too, but yours is the king easily. No one's been able to top that. But yeah, the negative comments are very funny. Sometimes business owners are like, oh, we're getting negative comments. But
again, I told you this too, like Joe Rogan says, just post and ghost. I think there's something to it though. Early on when you're just starting out and you get comments, make sure to comment back as much as you can. For a long time, I did it. It was just me doing it. Then you get to a point where you just don't have to. Like, you can't keep up with 26,000 comments or whatever it is. Like, there's no way.
Yeah, I have one unnamed client who was like telling me, "Hey, look, this whole content thing, my whole office is spending all day responding to comments, and they're getting millions of views." So it's like I had to tell him, like, you don't have to do that. And he's like, "Well, doesn't that help?" Like, I mean, I guess, but it's like, I don't know. At a certain point, it's just not worth your time when you get 20,000 comments. Like, dude, don't.
There's a lot of cool new automated software too, that especially like for Facebook, where if someone leaves a comment, it auto responds. So there's a lot of cool things coming out there that you can do too. I know we're rolling over an hour, so sorry, as usual.
No, I got nothing to do today. This is my whole day.
Nice.
I'm in Argentina.
That's true. So you said like the next 10 years, your business is kind of like your main focus. What do you think? And a lot of things changes from year to year, but maybe that's too far out. What is the next few years look like for you, Dalton?
So the next few years, I mean, content, it just keeps changing. So I kind of need to stay open-minded on what's going to be the best. Right now, obviously, I make short form videos because is just what's most effective. But something else might end up being most effective. It might go back to long form. And I would love to make long form videos. That'd be great. Yeah, I'm definitely branching out in some other industries. I have an auto broker, which is his content's really fun to make. We have some contractors, people who build stuff. I mean, landscape maintenance is still the big thing, but yeah, other industries, other cities, some places I can drive to from Phoenix, Albuquerque, Las Vegas, St. George in Utah, San Diego, things like that. I'm going to start marketing myself a little bit more. It's tough because it's a very niche sort of business that I do. But personally, on my end, I'm going to be trying to make more content for myself. Yeah, I started making videos because I like making videos. And I mean, you know how business is now that I have everyone make videos for me, and I don't do what I like anymore.
It's like the cobbler's kids never have any shoes.
Yeah. It's, you start a business because it's your passion, and then you outsource your passion, and now you don't really do anything. So I'm going to start making videos for myself. I have a few projects that I'm going to work on with some other people, which will be really, really cool. But that's a little bit separate from the business. My own Instagram has been a lot of, business stuff, but I'm going to use it sort of as an experimentation place to see what kind of things will go viral. Right now I'm learning how to go viral making travel content, which is very fun. Yeah, we'll see. Just keep getting clients and keep hiring more editors, get Sofia to keep them in line so they don't make any bad videos.
Have you ran into any editors who just didn't do a great job for you?
Oh yeah, I just fire them right away.
Yeah. I mean, do you hire a couple at a time just to test them?
Well, I've had very, very good luck. I tend to hire very, very good editors because I hire out of Latin America. There's very, very good video editors in Latin America. But I don't do much of an interview. So I hire them and then I say, here, I'm going to pay you not that much to make like 3 videos. And you can kind of tell right away if they're teachable, like they're not going to be perfect. Yeah, you'll know right away. But as you know, with any sort of business, as the volume that you produce goes up, it gets harder and harder to keep the quality high. And I'm very, very aware of that. And that will definitely be the biggest challenge.
What about like AI software that's doing a lot of the editing for people themselves, like CapCut, things like that? What do you think about that?
I don't think it's very good. We've tried it. We've tried it for when we used to do podcast clips. It was opus.io. We gave that a shot, or I think that was even before I hired you, Sofia. I gave that a shot, and it didn't seem to understand what was interesting. I don't know. It wasn't very effective. I posted them and they got way less views than anything else. I think you need that sort of that human touch.
I agree. Cool. What else is going on in Dalton world over there? Anything new and exciting?
No, I mean, just making videos. We do use AI for idea generation. That's really, really helpful. I'm not super excited about all the video stuff that's coming out, mostly because I think it's going to make all the platforms less interesting because they tend to not be very good.
But you think, I would imagine it's going to only get better, right? This is just the beginning.
It might. My issue with AI is if the viewer detects that what they're watching is AI, they immediately become less interested.
Agreed, 100%.
Because if a person didn't take, instinctively, if a person didn't take the time to make it, then I'm not going to take the time to watch it. It must. If it's not important to them, it's not important to me.
Even with like Facebook posts, right? You see that a lot too. Like I know almost immediately if it's AI written or not. And like they don't put any effort in. It's like, I'm not going to read this. Like, it's just stupid. Do I use it every day? 100%. Am I on ChatGPT every day? Absolutely. Like I use that more than Google. I've said on the podcast a million times, but I'm not going to go copy and paste something. I'm just not going to do it.
You have to run it through the filter of your own human mind.
You can almost tell right away it's added. Like it's always using like it has emojis everywhere, and it's just like you can just tell like rockets and yeah.
So, and I think as AI improves, like especially on the content side, I think people are just going to keep getting better and better at recognizing it. Like when the PlayStation 3 came out, the graphics looked real. I remember that. I was a kid. I was like, oh my gosh. And my dad was like, oh my gosh. And now it's like it looks terrible. So we're just going to get better and better at detecting it. So, for idea generation, I used it today. I needed 30 ideas about it for a guy who sells cars. And that was really, really helpful. But when I've had it write scripts for me, it's a huge waste of time. You need to pass it through your own little brain filter.
100%. Cool, man. Well, I'll let you get going. Said I got to roll too, but good catching up. Seems like we haven't talked like this in a while. It's because you're over there. I can't call you whenever I need you. Now it's like email. Can't wait till you're back. It'll be so much easier.
I'll be back though. I'll be back in February, and then maybe I'll come up to Michigan. We'll shoot some stuff.
Let's do it. I like it. I'm excited. Awesome. Well, again, good talking to you. Thanks for being with us today. I appreciate you still. Looking forward to the continued success. It's been a fun run for sure. Next stop is 500,000 views though, or 500,000 subs.
Well, yeah, we'll get there soon.
All right, buddy. We'll chat with you soon.
All right. Thanks, Jonas. Bye.
Bye. Hey guys, thanks for listening to another episode of Pest Control Millionaire. We don't charge any money for the show, obviously, but the podcast isn't free. You can pay for the podcast by sharing it with your friends and your family. So please like and subscribe and give us a 5-star review on your favorite podcast app. These things make a huge difference for us. If you have any specific questions you want answered about the business or your life by me or my guests, send an email to info@pestcontrolmillionaire.com. And if you want to get in touch with me about any personal business coaching, check out our website at www.pestcontrolmillionaire.com. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you guys again on the next one.